We are live. This is Literary Roadhouse. One short story once a week. I'm Anais.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Gerald.
And this week we're reading Bread and Wine by Mike Chapman. If you don't want to be spoiled, there's a link to the story in the show notes. In Bread and Wine, two officers in the kidnapping division of a precinct finally get a case. Kidnappings have been on the decline as everyone walked around with cranial tracking implants. It's the future. And the case is one of the largest crimes in years. Randolph Carter, a billionaire inventor of echoes, which are quantum entangled doppelgangers of humans that perform menial tasks on their humans' behalf, has disappeared. Did I already say that? Probably. No, I didn't. Yes, I can cut that out. The narrator has an echo himself, and the echo is fueled by the same food that the narrator eats. Inside the apartment, Randolph Carter's 5 echoes perform chores and answer officers' questions to the best of their stunted ability. Security footage shows Carter enter the apartment but likely never left. Eventually, they track the cranial implant signal, and it's coming from inside Carter's apartment. They follow it to one of the echoes, more specifically, to the echo's guts. When asked if he's Randolph Carter, the echo says, "We all are now."
Wow.
All right.
Awesome.
So, top level, did you guys like the story?
I love this story. I really enjoyed it. It's a great end. It's a great ending. I didn't see it coming. It was a real mystery the way that the author put various things in little hints along the way. And it is fantastic, and I love the fact that the guy who invented the things has got 5 echoes, but they get their energy from the host. What do they call it? The originator.
Mm-hmm.
They get, but he has to give them so much energy. He has to walk around with an IV strapped to his arm permanently, so he can keep them powered up. So awesome stuff. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah, I thought it was super neat. It built enough of a mystery, right? Because it's essentially it's a locked door mystery. Like, oh, no one else went into the room, but he's not here. Where'd he go? But it foreshadowed enough of the twist that when it happened, I wasn't like, oh, that was weird.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like the story too. Actually, Joel, as you were reinforcing the idea that the originator has the IV bag, I didn't think of this before until you said it, but it's a little bit like now he's the battery for the technology. It's like this,
Yeah.
He has to keep himself like super juiced up. I really like the story, though. I'd say I saw the twist coming from a mile away. Like,
really?
Yeah, but I think it's because of the locked room problem, which it's like you have a locked room and there's 5 fully capable human-like things in there. I mean, So I think it was just like that. It's like there's only one thing it could possibly be. And also, if the only thing you've talked about is the echoes, it has to be the echoes. Like, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
See, I had assumed they had hidden his body somewhere.
I see. Yeah, it's true. I didn't predict that they ate him, but I definitely suspected murder of some sort. I'm like, that bitch is dead.
Well, murder most foul.
Yeah. So the eating part, sure. I didn't predict the eating part.
I when they were looking around the apartment and they found they'd already worked out that the dust sheets hadn't come out with the decorators that had come in, and then the guy found a bit of tape on one wall, and I thought, and they'd asked the decorators to keep the dust sheets there. I thought, something untoward has happened.
It's gotta be the echoes. So this whole thing about how the originator is fueling the echoes, that ties into something that one of the officers who's Catholic was talking about early in the story, which was he's reading a book, right, called Catholicism and Quantum Theory, and he talks about transubstantiation, so that something is both, wine and blood at the same time, or bread and flesh at the same time. So why is this concept explained in the story, and how does this sort of tie into theme, or what are you guys getting from this?
Yeah,
go ahead, Joe.
I'm going to cough, so yeah, excuse me.
Then I will talk while you cough. So it's really it's imbibing of your creator to have him inside you and a part of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Catholics eat the literal body and blood of Jesus Christ, and echoes eat the literal body and blood of the scientist man.
But they were all eating it before they ate him, in a way, right? Well, yeah, they took it.
Yeah, that's true. They were,
Yeah.
but they didn't
No,
eat
they were
his
just-
literal body and blood. They were just
No.
leeching off of him.
Yes. But like almost like sort of vampires in a way, that they were, they were draining the energy from him, but he was still fully functioning and all in one piece until they got greedy.
Yeah. And in a way, this Randolph character is godlike in that he created an entire sub race of humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
In his image.
in his image and in the image of everyone else who creates an echo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Small point, now that I said everyone else that has an echo, this was just like a tiny nagging thing that I thought about early on when it was like, the narrator saved a lot of money for an echo. Pete's still saving money, doesn't have enough money. They're clearly in a developed country, and it's like, oh, everyone in the world has an echo, if not multiple echoes. There's more echoes than people. I was like, wait a minute. I want the story of how in this future income inequality has been solved on a global scale. That's the story I want. I want to know how billions of people in India and China that are living in rural areas, super poor, have echoes, but Pete doesn't. This was my...
Oh, see, I just assumed that meant everyone in the world, who matters.
Wow. Rude. But then later they emphasize that point, there's more echoes than people. And I was like, this world doesn't have income inequality. I want that story. Thank you. How did you do that?
Very good.
Also, if everyone has
way.
twice as much too to support their echo.
I mean, yeah, farming practices on the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can put a lot of echoes to work on a farm, though.
There you go. So they're kind of self-sustaining.
Wow, that's a bit, that's a bit meta, that, isn't it? It's how many echoes do you need to provide enough food for the echoes? Makes my head hurt.
Yeah. So, how does the narrator's view of the echoes evolve as the story progresses? In the beginning, he's pretty all in on the echoes.
Yeah.
How's he feeling by the end, though?
He's quite down on them, isn't he? He's at first they're quite, they're quite good things, but he's, he says that they're not very bright, they're not very intelligent, they can't echoes weren't smart enough to draw conclusions or make inferences. So is that sort of thing, if they're almost sort of automatons, really, in a way.
Mm-hmm. But then by the end we learn they're not, though.
Well,
what?
Randolph made a special new version echo.
Oh, so you think the newest echo is the one who did this?
I assume.
See, that was one of my questions that I had was the guy gets home and there's a bit of an ambiguous ending where the narrator's like, he hears like a knife in the kitchen as the echo's preparing a meal. Does that mean that he thinks or that he will get murdered by this echo or not?
Well, it's definitely on his mind.
It's on his mind, but do you think it's going to happen or do you think only the new version?
Well, he didn't get rid of the echo. He's still walking into his house.
I mean, can you remote get rid of the echoes? I'd hope so, but I read it as the first time he's coming home.
That's true. Still,
Yeah.
He's not coming in with a gun drawn. He's
true. Yeah, he's not super worried about it.
Right. But it's on his mind.
I love that last sentence. And it sort of put in the mind of the reader, oh my God, is he going to eat his originator? I thought that was, but then why would he? Because you had the book in the apartment that that Randolph had been reading, and presumably the echoes had been reading or understood through.
I thought it was just Randolph Carter had been reading them.
Well, but then they share some sort of thoughts with you.
That's the weird thing, actually, that I couldn't quite wrap my head around, which was they sort of share thoughts with you, but not really.
Yeah.
Like, where does the thought sharing, because like couldn't they just access the echoes as like a memory bank for Randolph Carter? No. Right? Because that's what I thought. I'm like, if it's like an echo and they're sharing stuff with the originator, can't the police just be like, what did you do after you got home? Or what did Randolph do? And then they'd be like, let me access his memory. So like there isn't a complete share in that way. So like if Randolph read something, it doesn't necessarily mean that the echoes read it.
That's true.
Yeah,
but the book was just sitting there.
Yeah, because the echoes were telling lies, weren't they? Because they said when the cops said, did the decorators take him? They said yes, they took him. So but they know that they ate him. So unless there's only one, no, because it says they're all Randolph. This is tricky. This is
right. Well, once they ate the to mix the metaphor, once they ate the forbidden fruit, maybe now they can lie.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that could be. Here's the thing. I was thinking, if in the end all the echoes start eating their originators, it's like a reverse rapture. Instead of like God coming in and rapturing you, it's you rapturing the gods. Like reverse rapture time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe it's one of these, because I was thinking, well, why would he be worried, or why would the author put in our mind that the cops echo would want to eat him? Because they haven't read the book. But are they connected to the internet? Can they talk to each other?
But I don't think the echoes read the book. Is it? I mean, maybe you're right. Like maybe that's the thing, is that reading the book woke them up to this and made them want to eat their creator, the Catholicism angle.
Yeah. Or the echoes are just like, oh man, we can eat creators.
Yeah, but I don't know if necessarily. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe the echoes have like a secret WhatsApp group or something. So they hey guys,
guess what? Great idea. Eat your originator. It's great. It's the best way to like pay tribute to them.
Yeah.
r/Reddit or r/Echo.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good.
So in the beginning of the story, the narrator is really resistant to the idea of like faith and God. And then there's this cheeky moment where Pete's trying to have the narrator explain, well, how is it that when you eat food, your echo is sustained? And the narrator can't really explain it. So Pete teases him by saying, so there's this indefinable yet powerful force that you can't explain and rely on others to interpret for you, having faith that they understand it better than you do. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, there's this parallel between the way that faith and scientific like progress has some parallels to religious faith. But so are you guys convinced by that? In what ways are they the same and in what ways are they different?
Well, the big difference is that Randolph Carter could explain it. Like he built them. He knows how they work. It's not trusting an indistinguishable entity or some unknown force. It's like, hey, Randolph down the street.
I see.
In the giant mansion. Like he knows how they work.
But just because something is explainable, does that mean, okay, what you're saying is it requires less faith?
Yeah.
Okay.
You someone for sure knows how it works.
But isn't that still faithish though? The narrator himself doesn't know it. He just trusts that someone else knows it. So isn't the same as the layman trusting the clergy knows it?
Yeah, but the Randolph has demonstrated his mastery of this topic by constructing echoes from whatever methodology they're constructed by.
Yeah.
Now, if I met a member of the clergy who called down a pillar of fire,
well, they don't have to call down a pillar of fire. They just have to know how God can.
Well, yeah, but I assume I have to have faith that they know that until I can see it happen.
Right.
So that's the difference. Like,
yeah. So I think the difference here is that if, I mean, I don't know much anything about quantum physics and quantum mechanics, but I understand enough to know that I don't understand it, but I could learn to understand it by reading more about it. With religion and the whole transubstantiation thing, I don't think I can learn to understand it, because I don't think I would ever understand it. Now it's not just, but and then religious people say, aha, you see, that's the wonder of God, you know, is no one understands it, and it says that in the story, and I just think, no, that's just a cop out. It's like a magician doing a trick, and you think, if I slow the video and do it, I can see what happens. But if there's something really magic and something really does disappear, and they say, well, it's just magic, isn't it? You think, no, it's got to be. There's got to be an explanation, but there isn't. They just say, well, it's magic, you know, it's God, and you just think, yeah, you can explain anything. Deus ex machina. It's just, yeah, God does these sort of things.
Yeah, I mean, in matters of religion, you eventually get to a point where even the most learned scholar goes, that's the part that's a mystery.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about quantum physics either, but isn't there a certain amount where it's just like, that's just how it works and we don't know why? There's a lot of that.
There is a lot of that.
There's a lot of quantum physics where it's like, we just know this is true because we've observed it over and over and over and haven't observed something contrary for a while. Never mind, that just changed. Sorry. Like, that's quantum physics.
True, but Randolph knew enough to make a thing.
Yes, he did. But then is he God? You know, God made us.
Right. Like what if God, in the more traditional sense, is just someone who, like, you know, a long ass time ago in billions of years, is some entity that also was like, I have observed this often enough to know that if I put these two things together, I will make a universe or something like that, right? Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, is it just a difference of distance and degree? Like, oh, now we're here watching a new God creating his new creations, and billions of years in the future, the echoes won't even know really Randolph or be able to, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it just? It's like that Futurama episode where Farnsworth is God to the robots on the robot planet, and they forget how that he's a creator, and he gets mad because he was trying to prove that there is no religion by making his own race, and his race reveres him as a god in the exact same way. Do you know that episode? It's a great episode.
That was a good episode.
This is that Futurama episode.
You see, I looked up transubstantiation because I thought let's and we go to Wikipedia, who is, you know, God on the internet or something. He knows everything.
Very mysterious.
Omniscient. And it says the manner in which the change occurs, the Roman Catholic Church teaches, is a mystery. The signs of bread and wine become, in a way surpassing understanding, the body and blood of Christ. So you just, okay, and nobody knows how it happens, but it just happens. Just accept it. And I think, no, I can't. At least give me a clue, or give me. Well, it happens like this, and but you don't understand the rest.
I can tell you a little bit more.
Can you?
It still bottoms out at a mystery, though.
Okay.
All right. So, you got the bread, you got the wine. You do your prayers, and God's like, yeah, I'm going to make that wafer be exactly the same thing as my body, literal flesh, the actual flesh of Christ, not a metaphor. That's important. But you're like, hey, that sure still looks like a wafer of bread to me, not human flesh. And that is because there's a difference between the substance and the accidents of an object. So if you've got a dog, right, and that dog is green, it's still a dog. If that dog has 3 legs, it's still a dog. There's all these physical and observable things that can change, and the substance remains a dog.
So you're changing flesh completely on a molecular level.
No.
The
molecular level is part of the accidents, right?
It's still part of the accidents. Okay.
So every observable thing about it remains a wafer of weird bread, but the underlying substance becomes
through the magic of
the
God.
Flesh of Christ. That's why it's transubstantiation. Now, what is substance? Substance is, and I quote, oh gosh, who is it? Is it Locke I'm quoting? Hold on.
He did a lot of philosophy, Gerald, just so you know. Like, this is...
Okay.
He's right now in his sandbox. He's playing. He's having a good
John Locke.
time.
Okay.
Excellent.
John
Here's what
Locke.
I like
substance
this.
is. John Locke's definition of substance. Are you ready?
Okay.
Write this down.
Mhm.
Something I know not what.
Excellent.
Wow.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
well, here we go. Again, making the parallel is the magic that makes the like religious magic that, or what we ascribe as religious magic that turns the bread into flesh, is that analogous to the quantum physics that is turning that kind bar that the narrator ate into energy for the echo an infinite distance away. Is it?
No, because there's logic to it.
Watch
Okay,
the
there's
Futurama episode. I'm kidding.
okay, how it gets, and the guy talks about this in the elevator about, you know, how do you get the energy from the things you eating to the echo or echoes, and he explains it. How exactly does that work? He calls it quantum entangled objects immediately affect each other over infinite distances. And he said, and that's what, and he said, what is it? Yes, spooky entanglement. So that's how it. Well, that's the same thing. That's the same thing as about the wafer, because you buy the wafers from this big warehouse where there's 3 billion boxes of wafers, and you buy your wafers.
They're not transformed until you pray.
Yeah.
You gotta pray.
That's the miracle.
That's the miracle. That's the quantum physics miracle.
See, miracle's another Deus Ex Machina, isn't it? It's you know, he walked across. Why did he walk across water? It was a miracle. You think, okay,
because I was writing this story, and it would have been great if he could
because the water was transubstantiated into a hard floor.
Okay, now you're stretching. I think. Yeah, you're stretching.
That's all a miracle is now.
Apologies to all our religious listeners. We're just well, I'm just dumb.
Yeah. Well, I know. I feel like our religious listeners can hang with this quantum physics analogy, like, because it's interesting to think about, and it doesn't undermine the importance of faith. If anything, you can see it as strengthening it, because as you go further and further and further into the unexplainable, where you can still observe things, but you're not quite sure exactly what's happening all the time, it starts to look more and more like, on some level, things are starting to feel more faith-based. And I think that's part of the point on why Pete is saying that question, right? And that's why so many quantum scientists end up saying, yeah, God's just as likely, right? Like, they tend to end up there as well. As just as likely as not God. Both of these things seem equally true now. As you go into the exceedingly weird.
Yeah, because to me, as a person, if you eat something, I can see no way in which the energy that gives me can cross distances to help support something else, no matter how it's connected to me by whatever means. And reading this story, I have to just accept that and say, okay, it happens, and we move on.
Yeah.
So it is with religion.
I like it. It's a very condensed. It's a different way to tackle that Futurama episode, which is one of the best ones of all time. And there was an Asimov short story, I believe it was Asimov, that kind of did this as well, sort of. It was the computer that kept, that Asimov story has
million years.
Yeah, can you summarize that story, Andy?
To
the last question.
People build a computer. People build a computer that's supposed to be able to answer questions, and they answer something. I forget exactly, but it's like, what's the meaning of life, essentially? He's like, I don't know. I gotta give me some more time to figure this out. And society advances due to the great computer. And then later people are going into space, and this daughter is asking this dad questions. And finally he's like, I don't know. Let's ask the computer. Hey, computer, why are we? And he's like, I'm still working on it. Hang on. And so there's like a million evolutions of society and culture. And apparently this computer ends up like upgrading itself and like connecting all the way through into this perfect future where they've become energy beings, and and then all of a sudden the universe is dying, and these last energy beings, because all the suns are finally dying out, they're like, hey, we found you were the first computer thing. Hey, what's the deal? Why are we? He's like, I don't know, man. I'm still working on it. And then so eventually everything's completely gone. And the computer's like, oh, wait, I got it. Let there be light.
And he starts it over again, and he creates a whole new. Yeah. Yep. This also we did discuss that one on the podcast. So if listeners want to go back and listen to that one, it has some parallels to this too. It's like getting at that question of faith from a very scientific.
That was what the question was. It was, how do we reverse entropy?
Okay, that was the question. Yeah, but they weren't asking it that way.
No, they were like, why do things break down, and why does this? And then finally, they're like, what? How do you reverse entropy? And eventually, the computer's like, oh, let there be light. Right. That's
a good story. So, if you really want to understand the story, you got to go read The Last Question and watch the Futurama episode, where a scientist goes about trying to disprove God by becoming a god. Basically, it's great. Excellent episode. So let's tackle the story now from a different point of view. I think we've done a great service to the themes and what the story is after. So let's just talk about it now, just from like a writing perspective, the pace, the point of view, just like a little bit like a workshop type thing, because we've been doing less of that, and I think a lot of our listeners are aspiring writers.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was a very well constructed story. I liked the pacing. The dialogue was realistic. I thought it was a very well written story. About just over 3,000 words, but it didn't feel like it. It just raced through it. There were no hiccups to me, anyway.
You said in the pre-show that there was something that had confused you or that you had an issue with, but then when you reread it, you figured it out. What was that?
Yeah. It was just a piece about the echoes in the apartment, and why would they have suddenly tried to eat their originator? But then I remembered that there was the book on the table. So by whatever means they got the idea of that, and I thought they'd try it out.
That makes sense. Yeah, because of the idea of we are him now, the whole idea of becoming one with God through communion. If they were the ones to read the book, I like that. It hadn't occurred to me that they read the book. I thought it was, but I did see it. Yeah, I like that.
And unless he read it and they absorbed the information by this magical blink thing.
Yeah,
got you thinking now.
Yeah, but they don't seem to work like a memory bank like that. But maybe it's different. It's more subliminal. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, the other one seems to know what the guy wants for dinner.
That's true. but maybe, yeah, because like, how do you give it the menial tasks? How do you is it like a Roomba? You're just like clean this room on auto, or is it, and they just do it however they want to do it, or is it like something that you can continuously update at a distance, where it's like, oh, I forgot to get my laundry done. Can you take it to the dry cleaner?
They said something early on, or I imagined it, but I think they said there was like some part of his brain now that was weird.
That's right. Yes, they did.
The echo was basically like an extra limb.
Yeah, no, it's extra. I think I would like to think of that as like RAM. It's like more RAM in your brain, or just like more. So there's a part of his brain now, like part of his like the computer memory, I guess, that's now just dedicated to that task, which is what the echo's doing.
I think because they are created in his image, he would think, I need to do the laundry. He doesn't have to command them, because they are sort of listening, or they're understanding, and they would think, yeah, I'll go and do the laundry because it needs doing now.
Okay.
White needs 5 though. That's just a bit greedy, I think.
He's a very busy man. Inventing things. So, Andy, do you have any comments about just the way that it was written or anything like that?
Not too much. I am a consumer of writing rather than a creator of it, by and large. But yeah, I started in, and it actually took me a couple times to start, just because I was like, oh man, we just did a whole thing. There was like Saint bus drivers and some other religion guy before that. And I'm like, we've been doing a lot of little religion things. So that first paragraph took me 2 or 3 tries to get past. But after that, I was like, oh, all right, cool. We got weird future cops. I'm in.
Yeah.
And it flowed and carried me throughout.
Sweet. Yeah. I think though, as a consumer, like, don't just like, you're like, oh, I'm a consumer, not a critic. But like, what is a critic if not someone that has consumed so much that they start to understand the way that something functions, right? Like, I think after a while, as you consume and consume and consume, you start to understand, why did I like that? Why didn't I like that? Why did that grab me? Why didn't that grab me, right? That you can only do through repetition. So, yeah, I really like the story as well. But like I said, I predicted it, and I started thinking, like, why did I predict it so early? And I think part of the reason is because up front, it tells you the lay of the puzzle in a way that's like, you know how like Sherlock Holmes, you're slowly following his progress, and there's different suspects that come up. There's no other suspects that come up. I think that's why I predicted so quickly. It's right off the bat. It's like, nobody was here. He came home. No one saw him leave. Security footage was off for 4 hours. Like, it was very, so we didn't go with them to go look at the security footage and discover it's been gone for 4 hours. And I think when you do that, you start shifting suspects better. Like, I might have actually thought it was the painters at some point had it been done that way. And I think that's it depends on the kind of story you want to write. Like, if I don't know if the author's intention was to write this as a mystery where I'm supposed to be trying to guess what it is or not. I would think it is, because it starts with a missing man, right? But I think that's what that is. Like, if he had just spaced out the clues, so I think it's someone else each time, like, that might have made it so I didn't predict it. Like, from the moment that the Commander Christ, is that her name? Like, the moment that she was like, here's the facts. I'm like, well, gotta be the echoes.
Yeah. But then, it's a short story. It's not a novel. And would that dilute the ultimate message? Like,
no,
like the story's about the echoes, you know? If we're going to spend 20 minutes investigating painters, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a way to do it short. So, like, I get what you're saying. It's a short story, so it doesn't really matter. Like, I've lost nothing by predicting 2,000 words ahead, like what's going to happen. It doesn't make a difference. And the underlying message and the theme that we had a blast discussing doesn't change. I'm just saying, like, if you're crafting this to be more of a mystery, what could you do to make it more of a mystery? Like, if that was your intention, what could you do? And I think it's that.
That's a good point. Yeah. You could, instead of, because the other potential clues, the red herrings, are sort of mentioned off screen. We're not, as you say, we're not orientated towards them to consider them as potential suspects. We just say, it could have been them. No, it wasn't them. Okay. And we're straight back.
Exactly. Yeah. The painters never seemed like a real suspect.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's also a sort of tropiness to this. Like we know what happens in a locked room mystery, and it's not whatever obvious thing is.
And it's actually 2 tropes. One, it's and just because it's a trope, just to put it out there, doesn't mean it's bad. Like, he still is asking interesting questions through that trope. Right. But there's that, because
he was not writing for the purpose of the trope. He was making a different point.
Exactly.
And he's like, I'll throw this in here, but continue.
Right. Yeah, so you're right. But there's 2 tropes. One, it's the locked room mystery. And 2, it's if you create some sort of clone, cyborg, robot type thing in a sci-fi, that thing is going to turn on you. That's just it. That's how it is. That's the genre. Like, yeah. Like, if that's the point of the story and we're talking about these echoes got to go bad, or else, they don't end hunky dory.
But then how? See, now we have the problem. So the echoes, after they've eaten the guy, within a day, they must die because they can't get any more energy.
No, because their creator's always a part of them. Or they'll die. Probably they'll die. But if they're now in communion, right?
Oh, God, right.
Then somehow he's become part of them, and now they're magically all fueling themselves.
Guys, it's a global murder-suicide. The echoes are going to kill all humans and then die in a couple days when they have no more energy.
Or because it says we are all Carter, or whatever it was. So they have become Carter, therefore they will now start eating normally and get their own energy.
That's a good point, yeah.
that weird link between them has obviously gone.
Right.
Internal, so perhaps I'm looking too literally.
No. That's a good point. If they've been freed from their inability to feed themselves, which is another funny thing, they need the human to feed themselves as they're like literally making a meal, but they can't just eat that meal that they're making. But I guess now they can. So, yeah. But those are the kinds of details that we can talk about them, but notice how none of us cares. We don't care why they can't just eat the meal in front of them because they have to be nourished by their creator in order for the whole theme to play out. And we like that thing. Yeah. Cool. So, ratings?
Whoa. This is going to be... I'm tempted to give it a 6 because it made me think so much. I enjoyed the reading of it. I enjoyed, we had the old iceberg thing. So the story above the water was good and engaging and interesting. And I think the whole sort of idea about the sci-fi and then the religious side to it and the parallels is the part of the story. It's under the water, which is engaging and interesting. Got a great discussion. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 6. I'm going to stop apologizing. 6 for me.
Give it a 6. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Andy?
I'm going to give it a 5 because it was incredible, but maybe a hypothetical version of it could have been better. No, I just like to reserve my 6, but this was a lovely story.
Yeah, I think I'm like you, Andy. I'm at a 5 as well. I almost want to give it a 5.5 because I thought the discussion was a lot richer than I thought it was going to be. Like the discussion, like I realized the more we discussed it, there's so much meat in here. Yeah, but you know what? I really want to read this author like in like 5 years. Like I want to see these thoughts really mature. Like I feel like the more he writes stuff like this, we're gonna get that hypothetical better story you're talking about.
Yeah. I think on the basic level, the construction of the story and the construction of the sentences and the paragraphs and the dialogue was all really good, very very good. No problems at all. So I think we now need the sort of the slightly higher level of writing. With a bit more attention to the subtext and stuff.
Yeah, so, the stuff that comes with a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I'm also coming in at a 5. So, time for the game, which I'm excited about.
Yes.
What are you guys submitting?
I'm excited for hours.
Excited for hours.
Okay, for next week, I'm going to suggest The Seraph and the Zambezi Binaural Spark.
Okay.
Seraph?
Yeah.
Sounds a little religious, Gerald.
He's all religion out right now, Gerald.
It's magical realism, so there you go. It's
okay.
Which is probably not good.
Okay, Andy.
I'll be submitting a reader suggestion from Nick, which is The Demon Lover by Elizabeth Bowen.
Woo! Great. Okay, this is the game.
Thank you, Nick.
So, the act of eating your god is called theophagy, which apparently is something that exists in a lot of ancient religions. We're going to play a game to try and eat a god. It's basically Battleship. I have a grid in front of me. It goes on the top horizontally, A, B, C, D, E, F, A through F, and then vertically 1 through 6. You guys are going to give me coordinates. The last person to eat the last chunk of this god wins, okay? The goal is to eat the god.
Fantastic. This is a great game.
Yes. I'm so excited.
Wow.
Yeah, god eating Battleship. So instead of you suck my battleship, it's you ate my god. So, Andy, you want to guess the first coordinate? So A through F, 1 through 6.
I will pick C3.
C3. You bite into thin air.
I'll go to B7.
There's no 7. 6?
Oh, sorry. B6, yeah.
B6. You don't feel the holy god moving through you.
Oh, dear.
Andy.
I'm going to pick E3.
E3. You've been into something holy. But he's not totally gone. So when whoever gets the last bite. But E3, you got a piece of God in you.
Okay. F3.
F3. Nope.
Oh.
Nothing.
E4.
E4. And he has. He's feeling a little more inspired. Gerald.
Wow. E2.
E2. Nope. Air again.
What?
Yeah. Andy?
E5.
You lost your inspiration.
God's not a patrol boat.
God is not a patrol boat.
Yeah. What are the dimensions of God in this game?
God is unknowable. His
I don't know,
shape,
man.
position, and size is unknowable.
Is he?
I bet he's a
is he
squiggly
a
in
regular
Tetris.
shape, or is he?
Keep praying, see if you get an answer.
Is he an L shape or a spiral? I'm going to go D4.
D4. Gerald looks like he's taking God's kneecap out, but he's still kicking. Andy?
You're so going to go to hell for this.
D3. Nothing. Air.
Wow.
Yeah.
God's a weird shape.
Yeah. Wow. F4.
F4. Nada. He's not responding to your calls.
What?
Wait. Who did? I thought for sure F4.
Andy. God is unknowable.
C4.
C4. Nope.
No.
Pray harder.
E5.
E5. Oh, somebody already guessed that. Guess again.
Okay. D5.
D5. Gerald has completely devoured my God.
Is he a squiggly from Tetris?
So basically, he is a squiggly from Tetris. I basically took the Lincoln Memorial and removed the chair. That was my thing. I'm like sitting on a throne. Yes, he was a squiggly from Tetris. God is unknowable. So Gerald.
He's squiggly. God almighty.
Gerald, what are we reading next week?
Sorry, Andy. We're going to be reading The Seraph and the Zambezi. It looks like zombies on my piece of paper. That'd be fun. Seraph and the Zambezi by Muriel Spark.
Great. You keep saying Zambezi, and I'm thinking of The Incredible Journey of the Zoombinis. It was this early 2000s, late 90s game that was in all schools. It's a logic puzzle type game for kids to like learn stuff. Do you remember? Did you play the Zoombinis, Andy?
No, because
I love the Zoombinis. You're only a few years older than me. Get the heck out of here. All right.
Old enough. Oh, there is actually a funny story.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that at my work, my staff have instructions if I die to eat my heart so that they can gain my power?
Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. But do you count as a god? Is that Theophagy? I don't think it is.
I believe I do.
Okay, cool. So,
Wow.
before you go read Gerald's story, The Seraph and the Zambini.
Zambezi, it's a river.
Zambezi. Well, before you go, let us know how you use an echo in our Facebook group, The Literary Roadhouse Readers, or on Twitter at LitRoadhouse, or our website, literaryroadhouse.com. Wish you could spend more time with ungodly creations that will one day end your life? Of course you do. Join the Literary Roadhouse Book Club, where we discuss a novel each month. And lastly, we learned nothing from this story and are pouring all our money into inventing an echo in real life. Support our reckless science and podcast expenses at patreon.com/Literary Roadhouse. Every bit helps. And as always, share this podcast with the clone slowly digesting your flesh. Until next time, read a good story.